Hello everyone and welcome back to Beatly Toes Beatles channel. Lovely to have you here. Thanks for joining me for this video and I hope you're all doing well. Now this is episode 2 of my kind of deep dive into the Beatles in mono box sets. We did the CD box set in episode 1 and in today's episode we're going to do this one, this beast, the LP box set, and I don't want to have to hold this up too often or for too long during this video because it really is quite heavy. Now, if you missed the CD box set video and you want to watch it, there will be an end card at the end of this video and you can just click on it and go and watch it if that's what you want to do. Now, what we're going to do in this video is I'm going to show you every LP that is in the box. You'll see the sleeve, the inner sleeve, anything that's in the sleeve that isn't a record, like the White Album poster and that sort of stuff. And of course the vinyl. What you're also going to see is this book, the 108-page hardback book that comes with the set. You'll see every single page in the book so you won't miss anything. Now I think the way that we're going to play it is there are 11 albums in the box, so maybe we'll go through 5 or 6 of them, maybe up to Help or Rubber Soul. Then we'll have a break, look through the book, that'll break the video up nicely, and then we'll go back and do the rest of the LPs in the box. So that's how I think it's going to play out. Now, this box set, the Beatles in mono, the LP box set, has become a bit of a collector's item. The CD box set you can still buy quite easily. You know, if you've got 300 quid to spend, you can buy the CD box set right now. But the LP box set doesn't come up very often. It's been out of print pretty much since it came out in 2014. It's very hard to find, and if you do manage to find one, the prices are utterly ridiculous. Now I subscribe to a website called EIL.com, or a kind of a record dealing website, and they send me an email sort of every week really with all their Beatles items. And funnily enough, yesterday they sent me an email, and they've just had one of these box sets just come in. It's not brand new, but it's almost new, and I'll show you the advert for it that they sent me, and you can kind of see what sort of money you might have to pay if you are looking for one of these. And I know quite a few of my subscribers are looking for one of these or hoping that there is a reprint of this box set. So let's go and have a look at the advert. Feel free to pause the video if you want to read the whole spiel, but I'll just give you the highlights. It seems like it's an almost new box set. It does say that there is some minor wear to the edges of the box, but it says that the discs are unplayed, but I guess we've only got their word for that. And it says, you know, all the albums are housed in reproductions of their original picture sleeves, which remain either sealed or in shrink wrap or inside resealable outer bags. These rarely come along, so don't miss out. Buy now. And the price we can see in sterling, £1,995, in US dollars, $2,394, and in euros, €2,254. Yeah, buy it now if you've got £2,000 to spare. And who's got £2,000 to spare? I mean, you take off a little bit of money for the book and a little bit of money for the actual box that it comes in, and you're probably looking at about £150, £160 per album. I mean, this box set is good, but it ain't that good. So just to put this into some sort of perspective, I went back to my original email of when I first bought this back in 2014. I bought it from Amazon, so it's quite easy to trace. And I paid £322 for it. And that just goes to show the extent that the secondary market is ripping off Beatles fans for this box set, because it is such a sought after item. Now, quite a few people have asked me whether I think they would reissue this box set, reprint it or whatever. And Andrew from Polygram Auctions, he said that they wouldn't because they made a loss on this box set the first time it came out, and that I just don't understand. I can't understand how they could possibly have made a loss on it unless they sold the box set for less than it costs to produce and distribute. And I can't imagine that a company so experienced at selling and distributing records as Apple are could make a mistake of that kind of magnitude, that they would make such a huge loss on it that they wouldn't go near it again. That just seems incomprehensible to me. So come on, Apple, if there is the slightest chance of anyone from Apple or Universal Music watching this little video, get it out there again. Get this reprinted, get it out on the market again, because you would have a queue like 50 miles long of people clambering over each other to try and get hold of a copy if it was sold at a reasonable price, and Apple would make a lot of money on it. So there doesn't seem to be any reason whatsoever why this this should not be reissued. It's just playing into the hands of the secondary market, and I'd like to see real Beatles fans get it at a reasonable price. Let everyone have a bite of this very tasty cherry. And why is it such a tasty cherry? Well, the reason why it's so sought after is that because unlike the stereo remasters, that this box set is culled from the original master tapes, the analog master tapes, and they even tried to source like vintage equipment to do the the remastering on as well, to make it sound as authentic as possible. And it is a really nice sounding box set. There is definitely a difference between how this LP box set sounds compared with the digital box set, the CD box set, which is obviously not analog. So that is the reason why it's so sought after, and I really would like to see this reissued so everyone can have a go at it. So shall we have a look at the box? So that's what it looks like from the front. From the back, we see the split Apple on there, and on the sides, Beatles in mono, and it's the same on the other side. Now, it opens up like that. It just flips up, and I'll just let you have a look what it looks like inside. It's just like that. Bit of foam holding everything in place, the book, and then all the albums. Okay, shall we get on with it? So I'm just going to take the foam out and the book out so we can get to these nice and easy. Okay, so the first one is, of course, Please Please Me. That's how it looks. It's a laminated front, very nice indeed. There's the back with Tony Barrow's notes as they were. Even got the Emitex advert there. It's got the flip backs, and this is a kind of a shiny laminate as well. Going inside the album, it comes in a polyline sleeve, but not the original inner sleeves. They had the Emitex thing as well. And here is the vinyl with the black and gold Parlophone label. Very beautiful indeed. It feels like heavy 180 gram vinyl. It feels like a nice piece of engineering. Now, inside each one of these album sleeves is one of these. Now, this one here they're all individual for each album. So this one, it says, Please Please Me. The packaging of this album replicates as closely as possible the artwork and construction of the original LP released in March 1963. Some of the copyright information has changed since then. The revised information is listed here and on the label of the disc. On the inside sleeve, you've got all the credits, the song tracks and the credits. And on this side, it's got the mastering notes. So I'll read that to you as well. This album was cut for vinyl by using a completely analog signal path with a constant reference to the original notes made by the cutting engineer for the first pressing of the LP. That's Harry Moss. It has been made with current technology and without imposing the restrictions necessitated by the limitations of record players in the 1960s, i.e. the dialing down of the bass so that the needle didn't jump on very basic record players. Consequently, this version reveals more of the content of the audio on the master tapes. So what they're saying is it sounds even better than the original. Working with the master tapes of Please Please Me was challenging because adhesive used to make the original edits had seeped through onto adjacent layers of recording tape. When the master was played, layers of glue and oxide accumulated on the tape machine playback head, causing a loss of higher frequencies in the music. Cutting a record is a continuous process, so it's not possible to stop in order to clean the tape head. There was also a significant risk of damaging the master tape during playback, so it was decided to transfer music tracks individually to create a new analog cutting master for this release on vinyl. And on the back, we've got a little advert for the Cirque du Soleil Love show at the Mirage in Las Vegas. So that is Please Please Me. So next up is with the Beatles, nice laminate on the front. This one is matte on the back with the flip backs and the Tony Barrow notes. Let's look at the vinyl. Let's have a look. Side one with the customary Parlophone label, the one that we're used to seeing. That's side two. And the mastering notes are the same, apart from obviously it doesn't talk about the tape heads and all that. It's just the first paragraph that I read out with Please Please Me, and there's the credit sheet. So that's with the Beatles. So on to Hard Day's Night, which is a laminate on the front and matte on the back with the flip backs, exactly as it was. The vinyl I'm going to come out. It's side one and side two, and again the mastering notes for Hard Day's Night exactly the same as with the Beatles, and nothing new to show there. That's the credit sheet. Nice easy credit for this one. Words and music by John Lennon and Paul McCartney. Now, I do actually have a few original early Beatles albums that I inherited from an aunt of mine who was a teenager in the 60s, and she kind of bought them as they came out. I've got, with the Beatles, Hard Day's Night. I've got Rubber Soul cover, but inside the cover is Beatles for Sale, which kind of tells a story on its own, and the story that I imagine that it tells is that she took it to a party in the 60s and came away with the wrong record in the wrong sleeve, I would imagine. I've also got a Revolver and a Sergeant Pepper that I also inherited from her, but I thought it might be quite fun to compare the two. So this is the original one from the 60s, and this is the one from the mono box set, just holding them up against each other. Obviously you can tell the aging process has taken its toll. This one is very sort of yellowing and very dirty, and this one's lovely and white and clean. Looking at the vinyl of the original, it comes in the original, inner sleeve, but the vinyl is in pretty poor shape. It's got loads of sort of little surface scratches and a lot of surface noise on it as well, so I don't really play it anymore because, you know, when I put it on, my stylist goes, no, please don't make me do it, please don't make me do it. And I'm very sympathetic towards my stylist, so I don't very often make it do it. But comparing the two, the weight of the two, I would say that the new vinyl is slightly heavier than the old vinyl, but there's not much in it. They're pretty comparable, but the new one is just slightly heavier, I would say. Okay, well, that was an interesting little comparison. Now let's move on. And where we're moving on to is Beatles For Sale from 1964. I just love this front cover. Fantastic shot of the boys there and the picture on the back. So obviously this is a laminate on both sides, and it is the gatefold exactly as you will recognise it. The album sits inside, as it always has done. Side one of the vinyl and side two. It's amazing how, even though these are new, they kind of still look old. They've still got that nostalgic feel. Incredible. And I think that these first four albums that we've been through now are the ones that benefit the most from the mono mix. And I think that's because the stereo separation on those first four albums is just so harsh. The mastering notes again are the same, so really the only thing to show you is the credit sheet, which is there, and that's Beatles For Sale. On to Help, and here it is, laminated on the front, matte on the back with the flip backs. And look at the vinyl. Side one, just beautiful. And side two. And the mastering notes again are the same. So I'll just show you the credit sheet. There you go. And that is Help. Okay, so on to Rubber Soul from December 1965. Again, I just absolutely love this sleeve. The front cover of this sleeve, it is my favourite of all the Beatles albums. It's matte on the back with the flip backs. And here is the vinyl, side one and side two. Again, there's nothing new on the mastering notes for Rubber Soul. I'll just show you the credits, which obviously have the Harrison and Lennon-McCartney Starkey credits on them, and that's Rubber Soul. And we've kind of reached the halfway point through the album, so I think this is a good place to take a break and go and take a look at the book. Now, what I'm going to do with the book is I'm going to angle the camera so it's kind of looking down on it. But if you want to get a good look at the book, then I suggest that you expand your video to full screen to see it much better. Okay, let's go and have a look at the book. Okay, let's get this bad boy open. Down this side here, we've got the credits for the box set and the contents there. And it starts off with an introduction from Kevin Howlett that kind of tells about the mono LPs and the differences between the monos and the stereos to some extent. It doesn't cover everything. Nice picture there of the women packing the Hard Day's Night album at the Hayes plant of EMI. And Beatles having a cup of tea in the Abbey Road canteen, and outside on the steps there. Inside the studio, this photo here is from late 64, so I guess they're recording Beatles for Sale there. And here in January 67, so that would be from the Strawberry Fields and Penny Lane sessions. Picture there from the Mad Day Out. And the Beatles in the Abbey Road canteen having a cup of tea with George Martin very early on during the recording of Please Please Me. You notice Ringo hasn't even got his Beatles haircut yet. Okay, so now we get on to the section where it covers each album. Starting off with Please Please Me. This shot here is taken in Montague Place in London, and we get like an essay on the album, the cover there of the Twist and Shout EP, and the Beatles #1 EP here, and the original tape boxes, and the album and the track listing. And there's a little shot there of them recording the album. And then this is quite a nice touch. You get quite a lot of this throughout this book. Newspaper cuttings from the time, which is quite interesting to read. But obviously we don't have time to go through this now. But it is really interesting to read how the Beatles were reported on at the actual time. And here we have some sort of music paper adverts and stuff for Please Please Me. Picture there in the cavern, very moody picture. That is from March 1963. And we move on to With the Beatles. This is the Royal Variety Performance rehearsal there. And the All My Loving EP here, the tape boxes for With the Beatles and the track listing. And then the newspaper cuttings there, this one from EMI News, which is their own newspaper, their own self-promotion newspaper. And we'll move on to Hard Day's Night. And one of the EPs, Anytime at All, I'll Cry Instead, Things We Said Today, and When I Get Home, the tape boxes here, the track listing. George there having a word with George Martin, or maybe the other way round. And this is quite interesting. Here from the EMI News at the time of Hard Day's Night, where it sort of it shows the chart positions of all the songs all around the world. We had Can't Buy Me Love at #1 in the UK. This is April 1964. In the States, we had Twist and Shout #1, Can't Buy Me Love #2, She Loves You #3, I Want to Hold Your Hand #4, and Please Please Me #5. Argentina, Love Me Do at #4, Twist and Shout #9, and Los Beatles LP is at #10. Australia, Saw Her Standing There #1, Love Me Do #2, I Want to Hold Your Hand #3, She Loves You #4, and Roll Over Beethoven #5, etc., etc., and all these different countries, the chart positions, where the Beatles were in the charts in that particular month. And then we get the music paper ads for Hard Day's Night. This is taken during the rehearsals for the Ed Sullivan Show in New York, February '64. We move on to Beatles for Sale. Beatles for Sale EP. Some nice shots there. It says the group had to race against the clock to hit an immovable deadline, i.e. Christmas. The labels for the tape boxes there for Beatles for Sale. The sleeve in the back of the sleeve and the track listing. And some more newspaper cuttings there. Some more studio detail about the tracks. This is quite interesting here, where we've got a note, I think from Harry Moss here, that says retransfer to reduce tendency to jump. Use slight bass cut. So where they had to dial down the bass to stop the records jumping because of the vibration from the bass, which was a bit of a failing for the albums back in the day. Move on to Help. This is Barbados there, and Austria here, and this is taken in the Twickenham Film Studios. The tape boxes for Help and the Yesterday EP. The newspaper cuttings for the Help albums. They're interesting because they have, some of the albums have reviews from the papers at the time. We now move on to Rubber Soul. George looking very stoned there. The tape box labels there and the track listing. The Nowhere Man EP, and the Beatles there with Neil and Mal. This was the type sheet that ended up on the back of the sleeve, telling us who was doing the vocals on each song on Rubber Soul. A bit about the MBE, them getting the MBE there. Advert for Day Tripper, We Can Work It Out. And we move on to Revolver. I think this is the top of the Pops appearance, I think, for Paperback Writer, I think. The tape boxes there, the track listing. And some studio shots. And the newspaper adverts, music newspaper adverts for Yellow Submarine and Eleanor Rigby, and of course the Revolver album. Then we suddenly burst into colour with Sgt. Pepper, an alternate cover shot there. A bit of an alternate centerfold there. The tape boxes. Again, this is from the Strawberry Fields session. Alternative gatefold. And the front cover of The Enemy when Pepper came out. Remember, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band is the Beatles, just in case you didn't know. And another full colour advert for the album. That's an EMI advert. We move on to Magical Mystery Tour, the recording of. Some nice studio shots there. Particularly like this one of George there. And some more on that side. That's from the promo film of Hello Goodbye, the tape box, the album sleeve, and the track listing. Some more promotional stuff for the album there. Strawberry Fields and Penny Lane single, All You Need Is Love, Hello Goodbye, and a handy little map to show you exactly where Penny Lane and Strawberry Fields are in Liverpool. And now we move on to the White Album. Most of the shots here are from Mad Day Out, but probably some that you haven't seen before. There's a couple of shots here from the studio, recording the White Album, and the tape boxes there. Obviously there's 4 of them, there's the 4 sides. Some more Mad Day Out shots. And all the studio gumph about the White Album here, the poster, instructions, all that sort of stuff. Signed there by Mal Evans. And now we move on to the mono masters. So it's really just an essay about the mono masters, and you get pictures here of the EPs that were included. Odd that they went for the EP shots rather than the singles. So you kind of have, She Loves You, and I Want to Hold Your Hand on this one here, and obviously the Long Tall Sally EP. Some more promotional stuff. And now we get an essay about the cutting of the masters, and some good shots. Ringo and George there at the desk. They don't really look as if they're paying too much attention to what's going on. Seems to be George Martin doing all the hard work. Some of the machinery, the tape box there. Some more equipment shots. Quite interesting seeing these shots of the Beatles in the cutting room. You notice as we get to the later years where they were more interested in sound than they were in the early days. They are, quite involved rather than just sitting around with their feet up. And that's the mixing console at Abbey Road, in the control room at Abbey Road. And that is the book. So I hope you enjoyed that little romp through the glorious book that comes with this set. And we'll pick it up again with Revolver from August 1966. Obviously a laminate front cover, a matte back cover with flip backs. And we'll have a look at the vinyl. We've seen quite a lot of Revolver in recent months, haven't we? But you know what I say, you can never get enough of Revolver. That's the vinyl. The mastering notes again are the same for Revolver. Nothing new to report there. There is the credit sheet. Now, before we move on to Sgt. Pepper and while Revolver is still on my mind, of course, there was a mono album included in the Revolver Super Deluxe box set, both on vinyl and on CD. And I would imagine that as they go through these remixed albums, they will include a mono album going back to Please Please Me. And I guess in some way that is some compensation for people that were not able to get the Beatles in mono box set. But I hope they don't use that as a reason not to reprint the Beatles in mono box set, because obviously that would still leave two gaps as far as vinyl goes, and that would be Sgt. Pepper and the White Album. Now, the CD box set of Sgt. Pepper did include the mono album on CD, and the White Album CD box set did include the mono album on the Blu-ray that was included, but there is no vinyl for either of those two in those sets. So it would be some sort of compensation for those that weren't able to get the box set, but it leaves their collection incomplete. So I do still hope that they will go back and revisit the box set and give it another whirl, so everyone can have a go. Okay, let's move on to Sgt. Pepper. Okay, the Sergeant is in the house. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Obviously laminated on both sides and with the gatefold. And obviously the flip backs as well all across the centre. You do get the cutouts. Did anyone ever cut out their cutouts, if that's what you're supposed to do with cutouts? I mean, should there ever come a time where you need to lay your hands on a cardboard moustache or some sergeant stripes, you'll know exactly where to go to find them. Also, the replica of the original inner sleeve comes with it, and the vinyl. This is the album that John Lennon said, if you haven't heard the mono Sgt. Pepper, then you haven't heard Sgt. Pepper. But it's got that really clumsy edit on the segue between Good Morning and the Sgt. Pepper reprise, which on the stereo version is much smoother and much better transition. But the mono Sgt. Pepper is fantastic. The mastering notes, no change for Sgt. Pepper. Here are the credits. And that's Sgt. Pepper. Okay, on to Magical Mystery Tour. Now, there is the front cover. Now, one thing I'm not happy about on this is that they have zoomed this too much, and so it's kind of cut off at the top here. You might, if you compare it against the stereo, you'll see that the Magical Mystery Tour is clear of the rim. There is a gap between the top and where it says Magical Mystery Tour there. Little error, printing error, I think there. Obviously, the book that comes with it is attached, and I'll just go through it. I'll go through some of it. Everything is reprinted just as you would expect. With the lyrics from the film songs just there. So that is Magical Mystery Tour. The vinyl is here, and this is on the Rainbow Capital label, which is what you would expect. And fish them out. the mastering notes. Now this has changed, so I will read it. So the first bit is the same as I read out earlier, but then it goes on to say, because Magical Mystery Tour was not released as a British LP in 1967, it was necessary to create a new master using the original mono tapes for the EP release and the singles included on the second side of the album. To avoid the risk of damaging the masters by removing tracks from their original reels and then returning them, the original tapes were copied to a new cutting master created for this release. And that is the credits, and that is the mastering notes that I've just read out. Okay, so that's Magical Mystery Tour. Okay, on to the penultimate album in the set, which of course is the White Album. I'll just try and show you the embossed, the Beatles there. That's my number there, which is 9,024,927. So a nice low number. The back of the album really does look superb and pristine, and it just feels so heavy. You know, it feels like a real good product. As you know, the White Album was a top loader. The mono album was a top loader, and you can kind of see why they didn't really carry on with the top loading style of album, because it's the side, the left hand side of the sleeve is kind of warped. That's the side that's got the big poster stuffed in it as well. Now I don't know whether the gap was the same on the original White Album that came out in the 60s, and that suffered from this as well, because I don't have a 60s version of the White Album, but they're not compensating for the the very heavy vinyl that's in there, that's obviously making the gap smaller for the poster. But anyway, let's have a look at the stuff, shall we? Okay, so the album is in a black polyline sleeve, as the original was. Side one of the vinyl on the green apple, and side two on the with the split apple. And of course the poster. You don't need me to open this, do you? What? You want me to open it? Oh, all right. I'll open it. It's very big though. I'll have to stand several feet away for you to see it. There it is, the full poster, and on the other side, the lyrics. You know all this stuff anyway, you don't really need me to show you that. Okay, that's the poster. Okay, let's have a look at the second disc. I keep going to the side to pull it out. Of course, there's no opening at the side. So the another black polyline sleeve, and side three on the full green Granny Smith apple, and side four on the split apple. And of course we get the portraits inside. Paul, George, John, and Bert, and Ringo. Now, what was the other thing I needed to show you? The mastering notes. There's nothing different on this one to read out to you, so I'll just show you the credits. And that is the White Album. The White Album obviously has got all these little, minuscule little differences between the stereo and the mono that no one really cares about apart from us. Like the aircraft is louder on the mono than it is on the stereo. You've got the grunts in different places on Piggy's, a kind of a different ending on Don't Pass Me By. But the main thing is the difference in Helter Skelter on the mono, which is cut short by about a minute. You don't get where it comes back in, and you don't get the I've got blisters on my fingers bit. So, mono isn't always better. And to be honest, by the time we get to the White Album, I've kind of lost interest in mono. I'm all about the stereo once we get to the White Album, and I just think that Giles Martin's remix of this is now my go-to version of the White Album. It is just fantastic. It's almost perfect. And that's your White Album. So we've reached the final album in the box, and that is the Mono Masters album. This is a triple album, and it is absolutely superb presentation of this. Now, obviously, the Mono Masters is the Mono Box's equivalent of Past Masters 1 and Past Masters 2, but with those albums where there was a stereo mix, you got the stereo mix on Past Masters 1 and 2. This is all dedicated mono mixes, which means that the track listing is not the same, because some of the tracks on Past Masters 2 never had a mono mix, like Ballad of Johnny Oko, Old Brown Shoe, and Let It Be, the single version of Let It Be. So we've got different tracks on this. We've also got the 4 Yellow Submarine mono versions as well, the 4 tracks from Yellow Submarine, which weren't on Past Masters 1 and 2. So it is a triple album. It looks like that. And it's a trifold presentation. So you've got that there, and then it kind of opens out like this, and that is the back cover. I'll kind of show it standing up so you can see it properly, and all the text there is a sort of a write-up for each of the tracks that are on the album. And as I say, it is a triple album, so let's have a look at the vinyl. So side 1 is on the Apple. Side 2. Second disc is kind of tucked in the middle there. Oh yes, they're all on the Apple actually. Black polyline sleeves. Side 3. And side 4. And finally side 5 and side 6. Now I will let you have a look at the track listing, as it is quite important, and you can pause that if you want to. So that is the Mono Masters, and that is the end of the box set. So that is the vinyl version of the Beatles in Mono box set. Now, if you've got this box set on vinyl, please tell me what you think about it down in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. As you know, I read everyone's comments and I respond to everyone's comments. Now, if you don't have this box set, but you're kind of lusting after it now, I'm presuming that no one is going to pay the £2,000 that people are asking for this now. But say they were to repress this, they would bring it out again. Now, if it's not too much of an impertinent question, what do you think would be a reasonable price point for this box set if they were to reissue it? What would you be prepared to pay? You can tell me in your own currency and I can work it out from there, but I'm interested to know what people, how badly people want to get hold of this this box set, because it is a much sought after item these days. So please tell me about that down in the comments. Now, if you've made it to the end of the video, give yourself a big slap on the back. I know it's been a really long video, but there has been a lot to show you in this video, so well done if you've made it to the end. If you want to do me a really big favour and you've enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, give it a like, leave me a comment, because both those things help my videos get out to lots of people on YouTube and help me grow my channel. If you're not a subscriber to the channel, please consider subscribing, supporting the channel by subscribing, because unlike this box set, it's absolutely free to do so. So we'd love to have you on board and get you involved in the channel. That would be absolutely fantastic. So please consider doing that. Okay, well, that is it from me. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching it, and I will see you all very soon. Bye bye.